Hi, my name is Carla Esmeralda. I'm going to present to you the report uh, for the course data management, the individual assignment. I use a superstore data set. The objective is going through each query and also explain to you the difficulties that I faced during this whole exercise. The first step was to choose a data set. As I said, I choose a superstore, which contains 12 columns and has information about the customer and also um, the what they bought in the superstore. So the first part is the screenshot of the ER diagram where we can see the relationships between the tables and their primary keys and the foreign keys and how they are connected between them. So we can see sales details connects with orders and products and orders only with customers and locations. So that's like something I would like to say is that for this, for me, it was very helpful because I had the chance to see if the information that I wanted in one column or in one query was in that table or not, and if what I needed in order to do that. So like going straight forward to the queries, the first question is the distribution about the customer segments and how many customers are in each segment. I analyzed the customer table and I had the segment and the customer ID. So it was very easy to put that into this SQL query. I didn't use distinct because the customers table has information only about the customers. They only appear once because it's sorted by the customer ID that it's something unique. I didn't use a name because the name could be repeated in several times. So I first tried with the name. I found out that they were like so many. I compared this with the Excel, like with a filter, and they were like a big difference. So that's why I decided with the customer ID because then I learned that the customer ID was something unique for that customer. So that's why it was count because they only want like the customers for each segment, and I didn't like need to sum or add anything. This is a table of the query of the result, where you can see that the consumer has more, the segment of consumer has more customers on it, and the one that had less was home office, the graph of this result. And then we are going with the second one that are the top cities with the most customers. Again, we are only looking for the count of the customers, nothing related to addition or something like that, because we only want to know like how many yeah. So as we are requested to do it by city, we are using a column, the column city for the table locations and the column of customer ID for customers. As I am using two different columns of two different tables, I need to do an inner join, but as locations and customers doesn't uh, don't have any relationship between them, I have to use a table with information of this boat. So I use orders because orders has the customer ID that can be linked with the customer tables, and also has the location ID which can be linked to locations tables. Then I only group everything by the city because it's again what the question is requiring. And then we are adding the filter of having, because as the question says, we only need the top 10 cities um, of the customers. So we are using that with the count customer, the the count that we did in the first row, and then order everything by also the count of the customer and limit everything to 10. So here are the cities with the most consumers. The first one is California, and I decided to put this chart because it was more visual to understand. And the third is asking about the product more most search on the category by the customer segment. So here we are using three different tables, three different columns. The count, again, also they are only asking for the how many, the frequency. So I also name that count as frequency products. And in order to, like, none of these products doesn't link with customer table. So that's why I use sales details, because sales details has more information about the detail of the order or the sale. So this was the only table that I could use in order to join the products with the customers table. So first I only use these tables. I link that with orders and then made that relationship between with the order ID. And then with this already done, I had to put together the customers table with the orders table with the customer ID. And lastly, only join the products with the sales, like the first table with the products ID. So inner join, I was teach, and as I learned, is used in order to share the column or put a column together with the other table in order to have that range of information also, and to put together two tables with different information. This is the answer of the result from the query. Where we can see as the consumer, corporate, home office, and the categories of the products, and also the count of the products that or the customers that bought not the customer, but the products that were bought by the customer according to the category and the segment. And the next question is, which products have the highest sales volume across all customers? So we are asking about which product was sold the most between the customers. So we need the name for the to display the information, because that's what we want to know, the name of the product, and we are using quantity. And we are adding all the quantities between them because we want to know how many times that product was bought in different occasions. So also that's why we are not using distinct, because we want to know the whole panorama of the quantities. So again, two different tables, two different columns using inner join, and grouping everything by the product name. So this is the result from the query. And yeah, the whole result, and also a chart where we could see all the distribution of the products. And then we have the how many customers have made more than one purchase in different regions. So again, we are using the distribution between the regions, but we want to know the customers that bought more than one time in different regions. So, or in different regions. So again, we are using two different tables. That's why the inner join, and count in order to see how many times does the region appear, and distinct because this customer, yeah, customer could buy something, or could made a bridge on different and on one region more than one time. So that's why we're using distinct. And something that was kind of difficult for me to understand was the structure of the inner join. However, as I was going with the queries, I got used to it because sometimes I put uh, first the column, then the table, and something happened that the query didn't resolve. So then, as I was doing the practice, I understood the logic of the execution also. And here I use orders in order to put together customer and locations again, because they don't have any relationship between them. And the only relationship that I could build from was with the orders, because orders has both foreign keys, location ID and customer ID. Again, the result of the query and the chart of the query. And then we have how is the customer information, such as postal codes, distribute, and is it sensitive? Also, we only want to know how many customers we have via postal code. So it is only a count, and we are using this thing for the previous explanation that I just mentioned. And again, using inner join because we are trying to put together two columns of two different tables. So orders and locations are related by the location ID, and grouping everything by the postal code as the question is requesting. And on that, the last line, it's only how I want to see the information, and by the count of the in order of descent. The graph of the query, and then we have the distribution of the consumers based on the order frequency. In other words, we want to know how many customers or the frequency of the customer that made a purchase or an order. So again, two different columns, two different tables, only using count because I only want to know how many times that order is placed, and distinct again because orders has the information about all the orders that all the customers did. So we have to use distinct to only see what we want to see, the frequency per customer, and the inner join and group by that it's by the customer ID that it's requesting the question. And a chart, more visual than more than just a bar chart. So that's why. And then which products have the highest discounts and how are these distributed among the customer segments? So products, here we are being asked about the how many products had the highest discounts um, among these segments. So different tables, different columns. And here we are not using count or sum or any other mathematical um, operation, but we are only using like the maximum of the discount that was applied to a product. And again, we want to, this query for me was kind of difficult because again, it was more than one table that was going to be joined, and more than two tables, sorry. And mostly because again the order of execution. So first I went with orders because this table has the information about the order ID, and this was used in order to put together the table of orders and customers. Sales details, it's the one table that we are using for the maximum discount. And here I'm relating, or here I'm joining these two like columns, and then we are joining the customer table. It's a very easy join because we are only joining with the foreign key that it's the same for the orders and customers table, which is customer ID. And then we are using products as the final inner join to display by the product name. So again, this is joined with sales details by the primary key, by the foreign key and the primary key of products, product ID. And everything is grouped by the name, product name, and the segment that it's requested by the question. And the order is the most that have the maximum discount, the most that had most of the maximum discount. And the result bar chart. Then we are approaching with the ethical and unethical points. For me, it was very important to see this point because as first approach on data analyst, we have so much information in our hands. And the first point is also related with this, that it's in our hands to put the information in a certain way that we could still have secured information of the customer. So it's in our hands how we present this information and who has this information. So one ethical point that I saw in the whole data set was that there was only the minimum information about for analyzing. There were no full address, there were no full names, and there were no more full information or sensitive information about a customer. So it was only the information that they wanted to use for analyzing and nothing more. So that's a very good practice because you limit the data that you have to avoid using sensitive information that could be used in order to harm someone. So one example or some examples of these were that they were only using the postal code, and also they were using only the name of the customers, but not only that, they were also having a customer ID where they could use in order to analyze the customer, but not using more deeper information about that. So this was one ethical point and very good point. And an unethical point, maybe I really only could tell more ethical points about this data set. However, if you see this in a different approach or with different eyes in a more wide uh, view or yeah range, we can see that if we do queries related to also display the people that are spot in only one segment or in one sector, this could be used by some team of marketing that maybe works with this business in order to target a person in a massive way. So that could be harmful, and mostly because consumers or customers um, only go through internet and surf on it. But if you put an advertising more than one time and you are like creating a necessity, and maybe you are like placing an idea on someone that maybe wants to save more money, it's waiting to put their money in another investment. But if you are creating the necessity on them to purchase something, you are in certain way harm, you are doing some harm on that person. So like maybe it's good with the queries to spot like the minimum percentage of people or the minimum of these, but just to be sure that they are not going to use that in a harmful way. So that for me was unethical, but again, it's related to the way of someone is presenting the information. So you can like keep, if you are going to present the minimum sector, you could use another name, another customer ID in order to keep again more safer. If you are keeping safe the information of your customer with the customer ID, you can keep it safer if you don't even present the customer ID. So that could be like one way. And some recommendations that I could give to the or that I can see for someone new on data analysis. I really had to look for it because nowadays technology is growing so fast, and we are not talking that much like in life in general, in business we are not talking too much about data security and ethical. So for me, what was very important to be informed, to know more about this in order to give recommendations. And some that I caught my mind by reading the ethical data practices in customer behavior analytics. It was a report that I found on Google Academics. Was the inform the consent. So this is one point that you are informing someone the usage of their information, and for me that's both parts, as the as us for consuming the data and for the customer that it's providing the data. So it is very important like to be aware that we are also accepting to be to use to them to use our data, and we also have to be sure that we are following like the policies that the consumer is accepting, and only that. So it's very important like informed that you are going to use someone else data, and the customer or the people that are providing the data has to be sure or has to be aware that what they are accepting. The second point is data minimization. That it's one example that I really like about this data set, because there was only data, simple data, no more, no less of what we are using for analyzing. No full address, no full name, just the basic thing in order to again analyze the business. Transparency, it's different from informed consent, because transparency is more like, okay, I already informed to you, but if I will be using your information for another purpose or another analysis, I have to be transparent to the customer to tell, okay, we are going to use more than this. Can you accept? Do you accept? Do you not accept? So yeah, it's a very good point. Data security, encrypt the information, keep it safer, because okay, you already have the information, you already present that information, but what if you put that information in a place that it's not secure, is not that secure? You are giving the right of, you are putting that information like, okay, anyone could use it, when it is not, because you were only allowed to use that information according to the policies that the customer accept. And the last one that I was very surprised by, and that I would like to put more in practice, or um, look for more for it, it's anonymization and pseudonymization, which, as I understood, it's related to put synonyms or put the data with some um, other concepts or other, like, other names. For example, put the name in a different way in order to keep more safer the information of the customer. So it was very cool because it's a practice that everyone should follow, so the customer could be like good with you using the information. So here are some reference that I used, the article that I told you, and in the questions with more than three tables of different three of uh, sorry, with the questions related to more than two tables to join. It was like kind of difficult for me, so I had to again going through inner join for these cases. So ChatGPT, I made a console here in order to ensure accuracy and execution of the query. Um, but was only like to consult if I was doing in the right way, the logic that I was um, understanding was okay. And yeah, so thank you for your time.